Hey there, Toonami faithful, and welcome back aboard Toonami Absolution, where we talk about the shows that made us us and the shows that made you you. Once again, we are your hosts. My name is Alex.
I'm Sam.
And I'm John, Batman and Mr. Freeze SubZero, or if you're American, Batman and Mr. Freeze 29 Fahrenheit and below.
Yes. Topical when we're recording this.
Oh, yeah.
Released straight to video on March 17th, 1998. Toonami got it January 15th, 1999. Showed at 4 p.m. and shown 5 other times. Twice in 2000, twice in 2001, and once in 2008.
Well, when you get those broadcasting rights.
So,
Run them into the ground.
So why'd you pick it, John?
This is I wish there's not really a fun answer. It's a personal choice because my computer, the thing we used to edit these episodes, died this week. So when it was time to pick, I was knee-deep in broken drives and Windows installations, and I went, you know what? I want something simple. I want something fun. And I remember when we did Phantasm way back in episode 1, you guys said this was good. I was like, I hadn't actually seen this, but I actually had seen it. I just got it confused with an animated series episode. But yeah, I thought, what's more fun than 90s animated Batman? They're always a good time.
I mean, it does feel like a long episode. It's also one of the things I love about SubZero is it's the last episode. It's the last piece of DC animated U media, at least in terms of animated media, that features the original art style of Batman the Animated Series before like Bruce Wayne mysteriously gets bright blue eyes and the singular bat logo and all that stuff, and the Joker becomes less of a blue meanie and more of a whatever they turn him into. Yeah.
I have a special place in my heart for Mr. Freeze content, mainly because, as everyone knows, the backstory of Mr. Freeze was made in Batman the Animated Series. Like, this is a very obvious and logical continuation of that story. I also, because for the 5 people in the universe who do not know this, before the animated series, Mr. Freeze did not actually have a backstory in the comics. Like, there were bits and pieces that people had come up with, but he was kind of a non-character. And then, of course, the Emmy award-winning Heart of Ice came out, and that directly inspired the Schumacher movie. It directly inspired Mr. Freeze going forward and actually made him into a character. And this is a really great expansion of that, which is why I have such a soft spot in my heart for this character. I also do have to point out, this is around the time when we decided that Mr. Freeze wasn't just a doctor, he was also an Olympian swimmer because of the Schumacher movie, and that's why he can swim in the Arctic with the polar. They had to explain away why Schwarzenegger was so jacked, and that was how they explained it.
He plays with bears.
It plays with bears, the polar bears.
I love that intro because I'd forgotten that happened. So I was like, oh, the bear's chasing some fish. This is nice. Oh, a man in his pants has just stolen the fish. I was like, new Batman villain, man in pants.
A man in the pants has just stolen his fish is also a very Monty Python thing to say.
So yeah, on that, this is got a bit of a tangled web of production, which I find quite interesting. So this is set between the end of Batman the Animated Series and the start of the new Batman adventures. It directly follows on from the episode Deep Freeze, but it's not written by the same team. It's got Boyd Kirkland, the Phantasm writer, wrote this. And he did a really interesting interview where he's like, in SubZero, our task was to make a simpler, less dark, more kid-friendly story, which could be cross-promoted with the Batman and Robin feature. Since the last film had been all about Batman, Phantasm, we decided to have him play less a central role in this one and focused on more of Robin and Batgirl. But this film was pushed back because distributors were worried that having Batman and Robin come out alongside Batman and Mr. Freeze would cause confusion in the market. So it ended up coming out afterwards. This is interesting because the new Batman Adventures episode that follows on from this came out before this film does. And that episode spoils this ending entirely by explaining that Nora's fine, Mr. Freeze is gone, and all this kind of stuff.
Also, it completely undercuts the ending of this movie, right? Because he gets his happy ending at the end of SubZero and Cold Comfort. Nora leaves him for another man, and he's just like, well, back to villainy.
This is the second ending. There was originally a secondary plan. Jim Harvey, one of the production team, did another interview, which he's like, originally it was supposed to conclude with the cure and redemption of Mr. Freeze. The original ending was bittersweet, with Mr. Freeze being cured by the Wayne Foundation and being able to hold his beloved Nora again, but then being led away to spend the rest of his life in prison. Warner Brothers asked them to reverse the ending so that only Nora was cured and Victor had to live in seclusion.
Yeah.
That's rough. Status quo is God to a certain degree.
And famously, Paul Dini hated this film.
Yeah.
Because it undercut a plan he had going forward. Remember Holiday Nights? That was going to have an adaptation of White Christmas, Glenn McCarthy's Batman comic, which is a really, if you've never read that comic, I recommend it. It's really nice. Basically, on Christmas Eve, Mr. Freeze like, it's 10 years since I met Nora. It was snowing that night, but the weather says it's not going to snow, and I think that's very sad. So he goes through this whole escape plan just to make it snow near her grave. And it's very Flash, the modern Flash, and the Batman's like, okay, you can do this, but then we're going to go back, okay? You get like your night pass, but by them healing Nora, that you can't do that anymore. That's not canon anymore.
Yeah.
Dini's comments on it are really quite harsh, because he's like, I doubt we would have brought her back. I felt Nora worked better as the woman in ice, eternally beautiful, much desired, but never attainable. Even when she was brought back to life, Freeze could never have her, so she remained more of an ideal than a person, a symbol of lost and mourned love. And he's like, yeah, as far as I was concerned, Nora Freeze was already dead in Heart of Ice. 100% dead as a doornail, her lifeless corpse preserved in the cryo chamber, not still clinging to life. It's in that interview, it's just so funny, because that's the one bit where he gets like really passionate.
Sure.
Like, he really hammers home to us, she is dead, and he just doesn't let up on it. It's like, okay, he really did not like that ending.
I mean, it makes sense. Like, that's his story. That was there's certain things that when a creator makes wholesale, even for something like Batman, it's like that becomes your baby in a certain way. I can see why he'd be so mad about it, because it hammers home the tragedy more. Like that. The thing about what I like about Batman the Animated Series as a whole, with very few exceptions, the majority of the villains, and that is very true in the comics too, but I think the series kind of shows it more, is that the majority of the villains were deeply, horribly wronged by society, and there is a reason for their crash out. The crash out is not coming out of nowhere for the most part. I'm not talking about the Joker. We don't talk about him. But for Freeze, his crash out completely makes sense. Like, there's logic behind why he is so upset. There's logic behind what happens to Baby Doll and Clayface and Pamela Isley. Like, all of them have reasons for how society has screwed them so deeply that this feels like the only way out. Like, I've always appreciated that about the animated series.
Yeah, I think the problem with this ending is it does kind of open up the questions like, why didn't we do this before? They kind of try and hand wave. You can tell there was definitely a change later on, because we get it through a news report of like, oh, we've just discovered how to undo this process. Like, that's very convenient.
Super convenient.
Yeah.
She was wheeled in, and the doctor's like, have we tried putting on the defrost setting in the microwave for 20 minutes?
Yeah.
And they were like, oh snap.
Yeah. New graduate from Gotham Medical U manages to try
Arkham University.
Yeah. I
Harley
forgot.
Quinn just sat down like, have you tried having a positive mental attitude? And just says, oh no, I haven't.
Man, that is one sidebar. Nora Freeze's whole arc in the Harley and Ivy series on HBO, hilarious. Like, genuinely one of the funniest thing that's ever happened. Like, it's a great way to do things with Freeze, but turning it so that he gives up his life for Nora and she has to crash out over it. Very funny.
Yeah. No,
Spoilers,
I forgot about sexual Freeze at the beginning of the movie. Just svelte and jacked.
Yeah.
In his pants, in his cave with his son.
With his adoptive son, yes. As one does, just living the dream.
And his adoptive son is on theme. Like, that's the other thing I wanted to point out, is that because every Batman villain has to stick to the bit.
Oh,
even
the gimmick,
his son is on theme.
Yeah, the gimmick overrides everything else. Like, you can get away with a lot as long as you stay within your lane.
If the sun isn't indigenous to the Arctic and your pets aren't polar bears, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Do you think it's like clowns have to submit like a face painting on an egg to a museum in London? Batman villains have to like submit like a marketing board to get like the copyright.
Yeah.
Ra's al Ghul is just like going through the paperwork.
Yeah, there's a Freakazoid episode, I think, about that with Lord Bravery. because he can't be
So,
Lord Bravery because it's trademarked or copywritten somewhere.
I mean, that's why you can't. That's why the jokester and the Joker can't operate in the same like city. Like that.
Yeah.
It's just it's intercity villain copyright laws.
I do find it funny whenever Mr. Freeze and Captain Cold team up. I
It's
do
so
like that.
funny.
It's always like cool, and then they both get like annihilated by the Flash in like a matter of seconds. But um yeah, but I forgot I forgot that this was the last like cell animated Batman movie,
Yeah.
and featured because yeah, like John was saying, this came out after New Batman Adventures, and I was like, oh, that's right. Cold Comfort and that entire downer of an ending for Mr. Freeze technically hasn't happened yet. And everyone looks like they did back in like 1992. Awesome. That was kind of, for me, that was the big shock. It's like, oh, that's right. You're not New Batman Adventures designs. Okay. All right.
Yet.
Yeah.
Doesn't Mr. Freeze get turned into like for Batman Beyond? Isn't he like a disembodied head a la Futurama at one point, or did I
No,
dream
no,
that?
he's straight up like a head, and that he develops like robotic legs for like the thing spider, head spiders. Yeah, it's
Yes.
yeah.
Okay, so I didn't dream that. That
No,
is
he
a
comes
real
he
thing.
because he's basically what happens to him in Cold Comfort is that he finds out his condition effectively makes him immortal. And so he
That's
survives
right.
into Neo Gotham and ostensibly gets cured, but finds out that he's being exploited by, powers like everybody does. And or blight, whatever we want to call him, and goes on another rampage.
Now we gotta leave Victor alone, but we should talk about the plot of the movie
I,
because
I
we've
just
been
want to
talking
say,
about Victor Freeze.
I want to say your thing of like, I remember that. Yeah, in the Paul Dini interview, he just randomly mentions, and then he becomes the head. And I
Yeah.
was like, and I was like, I didn't remember. I was like, what? I was like, is this like some joke I'm missing from somewhere else? I spent like a good 5 minutes going to this interview. What the hell's he going on about? I looked up, like, oh right, he does become a head.
Okay, I'm glad that I'm not the crazy person, but
Can
but
confirm.
yeah. So like the plot of this movie, to preface, this is a very short movie. It does feel like a two-parter episode that got smushed into a movie because they weren't going to make another season of the OG Batman original series. Like that is kind of the vibe, but it's not a bad vibe. But yeah, so we find out that basically we find out that Victor Freeze is hanging out in the Arctic with his son and his polar bears and Nora in her tube, and then an expedition accidentally stumbles upon them, breaks Nora's tube, and now she needs an organ transplant from a very rare blood type. And that very rare blood type happens to belong to the worst person you could have picked, which was Barbara Gordon. And that's what kicks off our adventure.
Yep. So yeah, get Freeze kidnapping her and ruining her plans to go to a jazz festival with Robin, which
It was 1945 and they're doing the Lindy Hop.
they are doing some very Lindy hopping during this.
It's always kind of Art Deco-y. It's like, it's either that or they're going to be doing the Charleston, but that's a little too old for for our purposes.
It's gotta be the Lindy Hop, like the kids are doing.
Yeah, we also sort of get this other subplot of Freeze teams up with one of his old scientist pals, who, as is normal for a kids' film, is in stocks trouble because he gambled on futures and they didn't pay up, so now he owes money.
He also looks like an evil Tintin character, which I kind of like.
Yeah.
I just love the moments when we get those two guys contrasting because it's very much like, Freeze like, oh, my science has gone awry, and then this guy's like on the phone to his bookie.
Yeah.
Like, look, I just need another week before they take my kneecaps. It's like
I need
the two
another week before
sides
they
of
fork
villainy.
Yeah, please don't. Yeah. I'll get you the money. I'll get you the money.
And honestly, that's something I actually really like is that Freeze and this guy whose name is escaping me right now. That's it. They have two very different styles of villainy. Like Freeze loves Nora. Whether or not it's still the same Nora, like he loves Nora. He will do anything for her. And this dude just really made bad money choices and is totally willing to kidnap and mutilate a teenage girl for the money.
Yeah, because Belson is also basically Freeze's Harley Quinn in this. Because if you remember, the reason Harley Quinn is introduced is because the guys behind Batman series, like, everyone should have someone to talk to. So every villain gets like a named accomplice who they can have conversations with. So that's what Belson is doing here. He's there so Freeze has to say what he wants to do and has someone to sort of reflect off a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's everybody needs the foil.
Like I said, I love Babs in this film. They do a really good job of catching on that she isn't Bruce, but in a one-on-one fight, she'll still probably have you. They also make her slightly more brutal than Bruce, which I quite appreciate. Like when she at one point is chained to a bed, the chain gets removed, so she just starts beating the guy with it. It's very much like, yeah, Babs isn't like this trained martial artist. She's a street fighter, and that does give her an advantage in Gotham.
This is also the last time, I believe, in the DC animated universe that we see Dick Grayson and Barbara Gordon as a couple.
Yeah, I think so. I think that after this is when we moved away from that.
By old wounds, they've broken up. Dick's become Nightwing. He's estranged from Bruce.
He's in New Jersey.
Yeah.
I mean, after this date, can you really blame her?
Sure,
like,
sure.
He took her to a jazz club, and then she got kidnapped, and he just like that kind of soils the relationship a little bit.
Yeah, it makes it kind of hard to look at you the same way.
Like, Bruce, I need your help. I'll be frank, I never liked the idea of Babs and Bruce's coupling in the DCAU.
I hate it so much. I hate it so much.
Yeah, it doesn't
that's
work.
What happens after this. We don't see it. But that's what
also, I hate it.
God, it must make it's funny to me because it must make all conversations going forward with Gordon really, really uncomfortable.
If really quick side, I'm in my 30s. A guy in his 50s asked me out, and my dad straight up said that he would beat the crap out of that guy. He's way too old to be hanging around girls my age. I cannot imagine Commissioner Gordon finding this out with his college-aged daughter. Commissioner Gordon would have every right to go full Liam Neeson Taken on Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, I don't believe Alfred will let it happen either. I think if that ever happened, Alfred would be scorning on it continually, just tutting furiously in the background to the point Bruce would give up.
Yeah. By the way, Alfred in this movie, the 5 seconds we get of him, how nonplussed he is the entire time. I love animated series Alfred because he's just like, this shit's gonna happen whether I want it to or not, so I might as well lean in.
Yeah.
Even has to do some research on the Bat computer, which I always like. I always loved how the animated series made Alfred very much. He's a part of the team. He's very important to the overall cohesion of the group.
The Batman-ness of it all.
Yeah, he's the tech support, medic, and occasional cook of the and he keeps the Batcave clean. We always see him in the background, kind of just tidying things up.
It needs a lot of cleaning.
Yeah, how great is Ephraim Zemblis Jr.? I mean, obviously Kevin Conroy, may he rest in peace, as Batman is the star, but Ephraim Zemblis Jr. such a great, and Bob Hastings as Commissioner Gordon. I'm really happy that we got a lot of the original animated series cast, minus Batgirl, might I point out, for all of our glow up of Barbara Gordon.
Yep, she was replaced for this film. No particular reason behind it, apparently, according to interviews. She was just committed to something else by the time they confirmed production on this, and she obviously was on. So, yeah, stuck with her contract. Can't blame her for that.
Yeah. I do like that we see Barbara Gordon kicking a dude in the crotch repeatedly.
As one does.
That's crazy.
He had it coming.
Yeah. He wasn't to be fair, he wasn't necessarily a good man.
No, I like we were talking about her being a street fighter. I like that because she is smaller, she fights dirtier than Batman does, and I think that that's very fun.
Yeah. Now, do we like the added emphasis or increased emphasis on, instead of our usual dynamic duo, the Robin Batgirl kind of dynamic, which is quite prominent in this movie?
I quite enjoy it. It's nice to have a bit of a change. I think, obviously, if you're coming into this on its own, you may be like, there's not very much Batman in this, but as when you look at it as part of a longer piece with the rest of the animated series, yeah, it's nice to get some shine on your side characters.
Yeah.
I have a kind of belief system around Batman for the most part. Batman the Animated Series is, for the most part, the exception to this. I always find Batman to be the least interesting part of 99% of Batman media. The villains, the side characters, especially now that we're in a post-Batman the Animated Series world. I don't love comic book Absolute Batman's great. But comic book Batman, Yeah, absolute Batman's fantastic. Because it makes him interesting again instead of just guy who can do everything despite not being Superman, which is always the thing I resent when Batman is written in specific ways. But I like getting more focus this way. I like getting more focus on Dick and Barbara's weird little fluke of a college relationship. It's very fun.
Yeah. And if you think about it, they don't date for a significant portion of. I don't think there's. I don't think Barbara Gordon becomes Batgirl until the end of Batman and Robin Adventures. You know,
Yeah, I think that's right.
which is like volume 3 of the home video set of 4. Yeah, it was always an interesting relationship that was always kind of just touched on the animated series, but never really fully explored. This is probably the biggest spotlight we get on it. Yeah, it's an interesting kind of like, it does feel like it doesn't even feel like an epilogue to the original animated series. It's like it's like animated series Gaiden. It's a side
Yeah,
story.
it does feel like a guide inside story. Like that. I think that's probably why I also, just quick sidebar, I wanted to point out the music in this movie because not only do we have a couple of very good jazz numbers, we also have Am I Blue not being sung by Kevin Conroy. And I am so curious if the reason why they made him sing it later was because of this film.
Oh, maybe that would explain it.
Yeah. I mean, what else would? I mean, also, if there's the way that Batman animated series kind of always straddled the 1930s and 40s, I didn't expect him to go in crooning anything but kind of jazz and big band numbers.
But Am I
Even
Blue is such a choice, like such a
Sure.
specific one.
But it's also like, I mean, perfect for Batman, right?
Oh, it's perfect.
Because he was blue for a brief period in the 50s.
Yeah.
He was blue in the 50s, that is true.
Neil
And
Adams
the
period
60s.
as well. Neil Adams gives him the blue cape.
Yeah. You got your Adam West blue cape too.
Yeah. Which we see in the Playmation Batman, which we might be talking about
at some point.
Yeah.
Just to sort of as we come to the end, I do want to bring up two things. The one issue with this film is the CGI is bad, or there is some real PS1 when the Batwing is flying. I will say though, I did watch the VHS copy of this film because I have that available, and this film works much better on VHS. How the colours are, the slight blur works really well with the shadows in this animated series stuff. It really looks nice.
It's like when you're playing older video games that were meant for CR TVs, where the framing would smooth it out and make it look more like a cohesive picture, and why like Castlevania 1 looks so terrible now but looked great back then.
Yeah,
you need stem lines. Yeah.
If you can do it, I'd recommend it. But also, we must bring up that Toonami once again let us down because both promos for this film show Freeze falling to his death. But they show the climax and all of the oil rig segment basically. So it's like, thank you for that, Toonami.
They just don't want you to watch the movie. They're just like, we give you what you need and let's keep going.
It bugs me because this case they actually had we've had it with Iron Giant and stuff. Okay, it's not much action, but this had the Robin bike chase, which would have been perfect action sequence to use in your trailer and not give away the entire story.
Yeah.
You even have the beginning when they're chasing down those guys who are like robbing people. Like there were a couple of good little action sequences in there.
But no, Tommy's like, here's the ending.
Yeah. For a 60-some minute movie, yeah.
Tom doesn't care. But as we do come closer to the end, let's get some final thoughts out into the world, my friends.
I mean, it's like I was saying, it's kind of like one of those, that and Batman the Animated Series, or Adventures of Batman and Robin on the Sega CD are like the lost Batman episodes for me. Because the Sega CD version had the FMV clips between cutscenes between every level with the original voice cast. So yeah, this kind of felt like that one last gasp because I forgot that it was it wasn't new Batman Adventures style, which I like.
The biggest knock you can give to this film is it's not Mask of the Phantasm. It's clearly a lower budget. It's not as sort of brave or as experimental as Mask of the Phantasm was, But at the same, it is an extended Batman animated series episode. But Batman animated series episodes are great, so having a long one doesn't feel that bad. If you go in with the right expectations, this is a lot of fun. This is way beyond most straight-to-video film spin-offs you'd get in this era. It is just a generally quite fun time.
Yeah, it's a fun movie. It is an hour long. It didn't have to be any longer. It knew exactly what it wanted to do for exactly how long it wanted to do it. I really like it. And I have a soft spot for Mr. Freeze. I think that villain love stories are always way more compelling than hero love stories, because a hero has to make like grand sacrifices. They have to be willing to let go of what they love to save the world, whereas villains don't have to do that. Villains get to be the ones that say, I will burn down the world for you. And I think that there's something very fun about that. But we have pulled into our final destination. That is right. It is time for us to disembark from Toonami Absolution. We want to thank you once again for joining us and talking about the shows that made us us and the shows that made you you. We have been your hosts. My name is Alyx.
I'm Sam.
And I'm John.
And we'll see you next time. Bang.